Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Regular Revenge. Story 1. My brother bullied me my entire life, so I exposed him at graduation. My brother bullied me all my life, so I finally exposed him. My brother was a jerk my whole life and I exposed him in front of my family. This was a couple years ago. I have a twin brother named Doug, not real name. Our entire life, we were polar opposites. I'm very outgoing and extroverted, whereas he is extremely introverted. On top of that, to my dismay, he had always done better in school than me. Like, way better. By the time we hit middle school, my parents realized how intelligent he was. So, they approached the both of us about the possibility of going to a private school. He couldn't say yes fast enough. I had my reservations about the experience, but more than that, I saw a way to escape having to deal with him every day, so I decided to stay in public school. I should specify, my brother has never done anything horrific to me. He's never stolen a girlfriend or beaten me up or anything like that. It's his personality I can't stand. He always knew he was more intelligent than me, and he let me know. Any question I asked him was greeted with a snarky response that didn't answer the question. I would have friends over and he would make it his mission to make fun of me in front of them. He also really liked to hit home. I've always been overweight and he hasn't, so he loves to mock me for that in front of people. As we got older, I excelled in school now that I didn't have to compete with him, and he did as well at his new school. However, now his superiority complex was at an all-time high. He saw me and the rest of the public school kids as below him, and he let me know. However, he would do it in private so that if I ever brought it up, I had no evidence. Just my word against his. Finally, college time hit. He got into his dream school. He had been dreaming about going to this school his entire life. I went to a different school in the same state as his. I loved college, but it was lonely. Both of us were many states away from our family, and we were only within a 45-minute drive from each other. I thought the distance would maybe drive us together, but it made him resent me more. Any time he had to see me was a chore. For instance, he drove me back to school once after a trip home and I asked him if he wanted to relax and get something to eat. Instead of responding, he sat there silently and unlocked the door for me to get out at my dorm. No goodbye, no thank you, no nothing. He just left. We both eventually graduated, him with 2 bachelor's degrees with honors and me with 1 in engineering. I got snapped up by a big company fresh out of college. He on the other hand had no ambitions. He was driven by being better than everyone else, and now that he had no avenue to do that anymore, he was lost. I tried being a friend to him, but he always stuck with making fun of me like when we were kids. A few weeks out from graduation, my mother wanted to throw each of us our own party to celebrate our graduations. Mine was first. It was fun, but then my mom asked my brother to give a toast. What occurred during that speech was the most awful, disgusting, horrible thing I've ever seen. He made my mother cry, he made my father so angry he left, and I was stunned. He had crafted a simple 5-minute speech talking about why I don't deserve any of the success that has been brought to me. My friends were flabbergasted. I asked everyone to go home and just left. I drove around for a while. However, I got a great plan. My party was almost entirely my friends. My brother's was almost entirely family due to his personality not being able to attract many friendly faces. I decided all was fair game and wrote my speech. At his party, I told everyone everything. How he's treated me my whole life and how he's compensating now because he has 2 degrees but is so miserable that he can't find anything to do with them. I finished my speech with a bow and sat down. Was proceeded was absolute chaos. Everyone questioning and yelling at him. The facade was over and everyone knew the truth. He begged me to tell them I was lying, but I didn't. It's been 5 years now and to my knowledge, my extended family still does not talk to him. Justice. TL/DR, twin brother bullied me my entire life, so I exposed him while giving a toast at his graduation party to my entire family, smiley face. Story 2. Bullies pay up. I apologize for my English, which is not my native language, and for the flow, as I do not consider myself a good writer. TLDR at the bottom. This story takes place back in 2016. A few things you should know are that in my country, you must join the military after turning 18 and at the end of high school or after finishing your university studies. You will then be required to serve for 9 to 12 months, in some special cases even less. Naturally, I decided to enlist after my university studies, at the age of 25. It was a bittersweet experience cause of bullying. The bullies are the target of this revenge story and cause I met my now wife. That's a story for another time, don't get you hopes up, tongue sticking out. Basic training was great. I got to know great people, and we had fun while we were trained for 30 days together. After basic training, we're sent to our units, in different cities. I ended up at a pretty decent unit, but as in every basket of perfectly good apples, there may be a few rotten ones among them. In my case, this went for a few fellow soldiers and superiors. In military there are official ranks, but there is also the unofficial rank among soldiers of old-timer. It's as far of a rough translation I can make it. Basically, the more time you spend as a soldier, the more your status is elevated. In status, I mean that the older soldiers can pick better chores, better hours of guard duty, slack off, and so on. The newer you are, the more things you'll have to do. It's an ironclad rule. Honestly, I can understand that since they've been there longer than the new guys, so they have more privileges. Unfortunately, some people let it get over their heads and think they are rulers or something. Anyway, my first 2 months in the unit could be considered hellish bull-tying-wise, as they'd give me all their chores, wouldn't respect my efforts of cleaning and tidying up the outpost, and they'd hurl abuses cause I was overweight. They were demeaning pricks. In case you wonder, it's not in my nature to be confrontational. I had a tendency of suppressing my feelings and binge eating as a result, thus, the extra weight, and I am idiotically patient. Also, even if I talked to the superiors, they'd give them a slap on the wrist, and I would be in a worse predicament. Fortunately, things turned. The soldier in charge of the military recreation center would be discharged cause it was the end of his enlistment, so they needed a replacement. Guess who was said replacement? Yours truly, smiley face. Now, there are 3 crucial things you should know about the military recreation center. There was a debt ledger, just a textbook, not the official, hard-covered book. If a soldier/superior doesn't have money, they can buy things and pay at a later date, you have to hound them down some thims. Every month, you'd have to meet with the superior in charge of the military recreation centers to balance the books and plan buying supplies. Officially, the balance was perfect. Unofficially, from one soldier to another, there was a €35 deficiency due to fucked up management on their part. Naturally, each new replacement, in this case I, had to deal with this hot potato. I had to either fill the hole out of my own pocket or let the next person deal with it. 3. In order to get your discharge papers, one of the signatures you'll need is from the soldier in charge of the military recreation center that you don't owe anything. Otherwise, they'll have to pay first in order to leave. What do you think? Would yours truly pay out of his own pocket for other people's fuck ups or give the hot potato to next poor victim? Neither. I had power now. And to quote someone great, with great power comes great responsibility. I couldn't let that vicious cycle continue. I had to put a stop it, and I would do it with the help of my beloved bullies. You want espresso? Great, enjoy this watered-down concoction at 1 AM, when you can't order from outside. Thank you for part of my coffee as well. What? 4 of my bullies want coffee and other stuff simultaneously but don't have money? Just F***ing great. I'd take my sweet time, tell them a superior had priority, and tend to them when I had time. Enjoy your cold toast with 1/2 of the ingredients and your 4 coffees with missing 1/4. I'd put that 1/4 in a cup and make another cup without using a new coffee capsule or spoons of coffee and sell or drink the 5th one, smiley face. On this note I had to measure each packet of coffee with a coffee spoon to know how much we'd earn. A packet would be around 40 to 50 spoonfuls of coffee, depending on how full each spoon was. You didn't care about your total debt and tell me to shut it cuz I was pestering you? Ooh, you dug your grave my friend. Enjoy a 15% vindictive increase on the total of your purchase jackass, smiley face. We didn't write down what each person purchased, just the name of the person that made the purchase, the date, and the total amount. In the end, my petty machinations not only balanced out the books for real, but my bullies also ended up paying for what I wanted to eat/drink. I'd tell them from time to time their total debt, but they'd shrug it off. They didn't suspect anything cause they didn't care. If they cared, they'd have noticed something amiss. What can I say? It's on them. Also, per the above-mentioned number 3, they had to pay their debt if they wanted my signature for their discharge papers, smiley face. Good riddance. TL, DR, bully me? I'll make Ipu pay off a debt and for my food. Story 3. Neglect to do your part on a project that is 25% of our grade. Enjoy failing while I get an A. This is in my senior year of high school in my English class. We were doing a unit on a poem-centered book and we had to make a new character for the POV to encounter and interact with. On top of that, we had to act it out. I did lit of the prep work, such as scripting, drawing up a character, making his personality, storyboarding, you get the idea. Everything except actually filming it. I invested a lot of time. My partners on the other hand, they goofed off and half the time seemed not to care. They randomly were absent because they just decided not to show up, and that meant we couldn't shoot certain scenes. Eventually, we did get all the scenes, but a few which we couldn't do without props, I animated. This is important for later. The day before it is due, I ask how far the person responsible for editing it is. He says he'll get it all done tonight. I'm livid and scared because I have had bad experiences with group projects before, but never one that meant this much. So I start working. I spent a few hours doing an animation of the entire film. I used a stick figure program, and I had to do most of it on my phone, which was finicky and difficult to use. It pays off however, and I submit the finished product through the virtual turn-in. Tomorrow comes and the person says he didn't get it done. Surprising, I know, but he says it doesn't matter since we won't need to present it today. Did I forget to mention that we had to present to the whole class? My group is called and he looks for which of us turned it in. My animation plays and I get a small bit of applause. After class, my teacher asks where the actual film is. My group tries to pass mine off as the actual film, but I step in and explain how much I did. The teacher said that he couldn't grade the animation since it wasn't the goal, but he was impressed by my commitment to it and as such graded me on the prep I did, which was, you know, all of it. That left the rest of the group to rely on the only thing left, the actual film, which wasn't even halfway ready, and a few things they contributed to the script, like making the wordplay better in like 2 spaces. I end up getting full credit and my only punishment was having to watch the abomination that was their half-assed attempt to finish it for a grade. They definitely failed that assignment because of me. I feel a little bad, but it was their decision not to care. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.